Okay, welcome to week 9, section 8. Is that right? Week 9? I ask every time and I'm never sure. Alright, so we have a question about week 8, assignment 2, which is modifying the DOM. It looks like it just wants you to add a div to what's already here. To this one probably, and when it shows up it'll have a background color.
Right.
So what was the...
So I got through 1, 2, 3, 4, and 11. I think it's number 5 that is the problem. I have the text showing up next to JavaScript, next to that with bottom line, but it's not red. It's not picking up.
So you're getting through everything except it's not picking up this.
Not
So probably I would guess this is, your ID is misspelled, or the capitalization is different. So it needs that ID. That's not a class, that's an ID, and it actually, this is the ID it needs, right? My new div.
My new div gets appended to add new one here at that bottom line on number 5, I think.
Yeah, so
And your new element to the existing div, which has ID, add new one here.
we created the element, gave it an ID.
So on number 4, I appended the text to my new div, and then I gave a variable and tried to put the variable, append the variable to add new one here. Is that the wrong way to go?
Did you have this line? The .id equals my new div?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. Actually, he's using set attribute.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay. And then in text node, I think, yeah. Child text, and then yeah, maybe.
So
If you're not sure, right before you append it, do a or actually it doesn't matter. Do a console log of new div.
I did that.
And then what does, because that'll tell you if you've got the ID right.
It's actually on the text there. So I put my new div.append child t text into a variable node. No, we didn't do that. We didn't put it into a variable.
Which,
On number 4, I created a variable to append the text.
yeah, the text is my variable that has a text node, and then I'm appending that to the new div. put it in here?
No, next to that new div dot pen child text. I had a variable right in front of that, yes.
Oh, like a
Yeah,
var something equals?
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what append child returns, but it's probably not. It might just be the text node. Yeah, append child might just return the text node. So you might just be getting the text back. Var, what is this? Equals that. So yeah, if you're assigning a variable to this statement, you're getting just the text node. So you're just getting the text.
Oh, okay. I tried it several different ways, so I guess I'll just have to put that. So at least I know where I
So
went wrong.
yeah, this you don't need to return. You don't need to assign it to anything.
Okay, that's where I went wrong.
All right. Are there any other questions? Then what I wanted to do today was go through this, how to make a little guy go around the board, which is very similar to something you have to do at some point, right?
Ooh. That was interesting.
So, cute little ninja guy going around. I'll add this jazz fiddle to the announcement, and I'll put it on the YouTube when I upload it. But let's start from nothing. So what I'm starting with is a sprite, which I don't want to really go into because it's not really that important. What I found online was this image of a bunch of ninja movement, and what I'm doing is I'm assigning that image a certain location on that image to a class, and I'm only using two of the images. I'm only using this one where he's facing the right and this one where he's facing the left. So those are the two images that I'm using. And I'm just getting them from here. These two classes, ninja right and ninja left. And then I have a regular class, a regular non-direction based class for ninja, which just has the height, the width, and a position of relative. The container needs actually that's wrong. This position needs to be absolute, and this needs a position of relative. And don't worry too much about that. It's not important for this.
You're saying the background, and what are the second and third arguments you pass through backgrounds? The images and the 00 and 082. Is that padding?
That's the location on this.
Oh, I see.
On this, so 0, 0, so I'm getting this first image,
Right.
and 0, 80, so 80 pixels down, I'm getting this image, 40 by 40. So don't worry too much about that. If you want to learn more about it, just Google CSS sprites, maybe. So you'll see if I have a div class ninja and ninja left, I'll get a ninja facing the left. If I have one ninja right, I'll get a ninja facing to the right. So we're going to build out this object so that it moves around the screen. How should I start that? Any?
A variable for location.
So we'll need the location of where we want to start it.
Are we moving it with arrows?
Yeah, with just the arrow keys. And just for reference, I looked this up earlier to probably still have it open. this is not the most easy to look at thing, but arrow down is 40, arrow left is 37, arrow right is 39, arrow up is 38. That's all we need to know for this, as far as key codes go. So
And what was that chart? Did you give that information?
I googled. I think I just googled key code, one word, and then it took me to this MDN page, keyboard event key code. So we have this object Ninja. We're going to want to pass it. Let's pass it an object literal that has some stuff in it. We'll say we need a starting location. So we'll pass it a top number of, we'll say 0, and a left number. We'll say 190. Actually, we'll go 90 and 190. So what I'm passing here is, let's see, these numbers. So if I said px and that didn't work. Yeah. So these are the numbers that I need. I need something that I can set the style top and the style left. So top is the number of pixels from the top of the parent element, and left is the number of pixels to the left of the parent element. So we're going to be taking in a config to the Ninja object. We're going to say this config equals config for empty object. What that means is that it's going to set the config of this. It's going to set this config, the config for the instance of this Ninja, equal to the config that we sent, or it's going to set it to a empty object. And that's just habit. You probably don't need that. If there's no config set, if that's undefined, it's going to default to an empty object. So let's say let's call an object of create div. This, what I'm working in right now, is the constructor. This is what's called when new Ninja is called, when the object is created. So what I want to do is create the div as soon as the object is created. Can you see that okay? Is it too small? So how are we going to create the div? The same way we were just talking about with that assignment, week 8, assignment 2. It's going to be document dot create element div. And we're probably going to need to reuse this within the object, so we're just going to say this.div, so it'll always be available to the Ninja object.
Is that the same thing as saying config? This stuff,
This.div is setting it so that it's available in the scope of the instance of the Ninja object.
What if we just wrote div equals?
If we just did what?
Div, we just did that.
That makes it a global variable, and it wouldn't have the context of the Ninja object. So if I went down here after Ninja was created, and I said ninja.div, it wouldn't exist. But it would exist if I assign it to this.div.
Okay. And if we use var div, it would only be accessible in the prototype function. It wouldn't be accessible.
Yeah, it would only be accessible in this function. So we're creating the div. Now we need to place the div, right? We need to set the class, yeah? This.div dot class name equals, we can kill this. And we'll need to append it to the container, right? So we'll need to get the container. Child. And then append that to the container. And what else am I forgetting? The actual location, right? So right now we sent top and left to the config, so it's in the config. So we can say this.div dot style dot top equals this.config dot top. And this div style left, this config left. So that should, let me change the location so it's clear that it actually worked.
Sorry, config automatically grab everything that you put into that new Ninja object.
I am sending it an object literal right here, right? And it's assigning that object literal to config up here.
Oh, okay, so it just automatically turns it into.
And then that config I'm assigning to this.config so that it's usable within the object instance. So that should work. No. Oh, right, because I put that over there. There. That's not right either. So it put it on there. It put it in, it got the class right, but it did not get the top and left. And why not? This div style top. I think that's right. So I'm going to take a look at what config is, and then after I assign these, I'm going to take a look at what this div maybe style is, if that works. So looks like this.config has a top and a left. Oh, right, because I'm trying to assign it a number when it actually needs a string. So I need to, top and left are expecting the format of something something px. So there, now it's putting it in the right place. Does that much make sense? I'm just creating a div using a prototype function called from a constructor. So it's the same concept of what week 8 assignment 2 was, but just in a slightly different way.
Why do you choose to create the config object when you're instantiating the new Ninja object as opposed to putting them in the constructor at the top and the left?
You mean
Parameters.
why do
Why you wouldn't put top and left in the constructor? Like why you're choosing to pass in the config object?
oh why wouldn't I just say 90 comma 190?
No, why you wouldn't just have new Ninja parentheses and then have the top and the left defined in the constructor?
Oh, because what if I want to make a second ninja? Let me just copy paste this, not retype everything. Ninja 2, and I wanted to put them in a different place. If I had it up in, if I had assigned those numbers up here, I wouldn't be able to change them.
But we are going to be moving them around anyway, right?
Right.
Even when hard coded in the constructor, it'll always be that. But I guess I'm kind of confused in the same way that you wanna pass these values by moving them around, and I see that you have an object basically that you pass into the creation of the new name.
Yes.
So I mean, is that because it's hard to get like different locations, or
And why am I?
like the top and the left that you're trying to insert into your new Ninja? Is that the only way we can get those figures, those numbers for the top and left by hard coding it in?
Well, I mean, you want to put it somewhere, right? You're gonna have to hard code it at some point.
I understand the starting value, but then you're
Yeah.
pressing left and right to
Yeah,
move it,
and
so-
we'll get to that
Okay.
where we'll be altering those values.
Yeah.
So let's get started on that then. How do I start that? We want to create a listener that's going to listen to all keyboard objects within the document. So we're going to call this dot listen, and we're going to set up some listeners. Ninja, or a listener. Prototype listen. And then it would be document dot add event listener. I usually go with key up. And key up, the function that, the callback that it's expecting in key up is, it's going to be sending this function an event. Let's take a look at that event real quick and see if it actually works. So it's calling it twice because I have two ninjas here. Let me kill one of those ninjas. So I just clicked up, and you'll see it has a lot of information that you don't really need, but what it does have is the key code. So we see up had a key code of 38. It's got a lot of other information, like was the shift key pressed.
So that's the DOM you're looking at, even though you're in the console, right?
Yes. Well, I'm looking at an event that was passed to the listener. But yeah, it is a DOM element. So if let's say I press H, you can't really tell that it was H that I pressed, but the key code for H is 72. There's a convenience function somewhere that'll convert the key code into an actual string character. So let's say if event.keycode is equal to, what was it, 30, I don't remember. It's like 37 through 40, but I always forget which is which. Well, I never actually know. Of course I scrolled away from that. No, I'll never find it. Wow, I can't find it. Okay, there it is. So it's arrow left for 37, arrow up for 38, arrow right for 39, and arrow down for 40. So it's just going clockwise. That's left. I just said it, left. So if it's left, what do we want to do? How do we move left?
So that position, few pixels.
By how many?
One.
One? Okay. So we still have this .div in this element, so we can just use that. This .div style left. And in order to go left, we're going to want to decrease the size of left, because left is how many pixels from the left side. So minus equals, let's call it this dot step. We'll define this dot step up here. We'll say 10. But that's not going to work, right? And why that's not going to work? Same reason I had a problem here. Because this left is a string. It's not a number. But what is a string is this config dot left. And then we need to set style left to this config dot left plus pix, maybe. Nope, it didn't like that. It doesn't like.
It's kind of funky, but you could just, where you have this config dot left, Just do the math there in parentheses, and it'll work just for a moment. And see the x.
You mean
Right there,
right here, just do a,
your subtraction.
you want to do it that way? But then, I mean, you don't think that's confusing, seeing as we're using the minus operator for arithmetic, and then right after it we're using the,
Parentheses.
you want to put parentheses around that?
And the arrow was the, didn't know about that, right?
So I have a bug. I'm not really sure what it is yet. Let's figure it out. So if I'm here and I look left, cannot read property style of undefined. So this .div is not defined. Any idea why this .div isn't defined?
Well, I mean, you're in the prototype declaration, right?
I'm in Ninja prototype listen function, yeah. But it doesn't know what this .div is? Why wouldn't it know what this .div is? Let me do a console log of this .div and see if it knows what div is. So it seems to know what div is, but then it doesn't know what div is here. Let's do a when I press the key, it's undefined. Why is that? Why doesn't it know what this .div is? I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but can you see why it wouldn't have this .div?
Is it because it's in the context of the event?
Yeah, it's in the context of the event. So it's in this function, which is a different context than the instance of the variable. So a common thing that I do, that a lot of people do, is declare that equal to this. And then from in here, I can say that.div, .style, and then it refers to the one I want it to refer to.
Do we also have to do that on the
Parentheses.
Oops. What's up?
in this and there? Do we also have to do
Yes. Thank you. So that did one, and it didn't do any more. Why not? It only did one.
You pressing 37?
Yeah, I was pressing the same one. I think I was. Yes, because you see what, it's because we made that change. We're not actually altering the value of this config left, so every time it runs, it has the original config left. So we do need to do that.config left minus equals that step. Because we need to actually change the value of that config left. So now all we have to do is duplicate that for the other directions. So if we're going up, what would that mean? We're changing top. Are we subtracting from it or? Top. If we're doing right, then we're just adding. And if we're going down, then we're doing top again, and we're adding. So now we have something that moves around the screen a little bit. Next, let's change the class when it's going right versus left. So whenever it goes left, we want to say that dot div dot class name equals ninja left. And whenever it's going right, we want it to be ninja right. So now when I change from left to right, it changes the sprite being used. So what else can we do?
Can we go off the side of the container or the linen because we're doing it within the div container?
It's not relative to the
You cannot contain a ninja. Yeah, it's I mean it's relative when it first enters this, but the position, yeah, it's still in that div. It just doesn't look like it's in that div because it's like it's overflowing onto the rest of the page.
So you used up somebody else's memory space.
Yeah. So what else can we do? We can make this a little bit cleaner. We can make this a lot cleaner. What can we do to make it cleaner? Now, one thing I would probably do is take the things out of the config. Oh, you know what? Let's add step to the config too. I would probably take everything out of the config. So this dot step equals this config step or 10. So if it's not defined, it'll be set to 10. So is that all we need to create it? Yeah. So what this would let us do is, let's change all the places that we're using config to just use the actual stuff. Config, 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 config. Remember when we were talking about local storage, and when you convert an object like this into, when you push it into local storage, it'll just grab the parameters. It'll just grab the it won't get the functions. It'll just get the values that are in it. Let me make sure this still works. Yeah, okay. So if I took Ninja and did a JSON stringify on it, maybe JSON was a bad thing to use. Ooh. Okay, I don't know what that bug is. Darn. Well, the idea was that you would just get a object literal if you stringified it, and then you'd be able to use that object literal to recreate the object by passing the object literal in as the config. But I don't know what that bug is. I'm not sure what I did. That's why it's usually better to pass a config like that, so you can recreate the object if you need to. We'll just ignore that and move on. All right, what else does this one do that the other one doesn't? Not much. So what I did what I would also do is break out the move into different functions. So ninja.prototype go left. Of course, now these need to be this because we're back in the right context. So that still works. And we do that for all of them. By separating them out, it makes it more compartmentalized and thereby testable, which is good. Doesn't really matter for this class for the most part, but it's good practice to get into, to sort of compartmentalize as much as you can. Okay, that was fun. And now it's a little bit cleaner, and you don't need these comments because it's pretty clear what direction we're going in, right? So the code is a little bit easier to read. What else can we do? Good. Let's not do that. Let's just CSS.
What were you gonna do?
I was going to give it a little animation. I mean, but I always forget the syntax for this. That can't be right. It's not transform. I'm thinking of something else. What am I thinking of? Darn it. I don't know what I'm thinking of, so I can't do it. Never mind.
Keyframes? I don't know, are you trying to like make it?
No, I was going to give it a little bit of a glide, and I can't remember what it is that does that.
Keys?
No, that'd be too easy. No, I don't know. Let's, what else did I have? That went a lot faster than I thought. Okay, so this was another way to sort of make it easy to add new key codes by declaring a object literal here with the key codes in it. So 37, go left, 38, go up, 39, go right, 40, go down. By declaring this, it would make it easier later to add more handlers to this. So we could, instead of having this if, we could say this dot key codes that, and that won't work. So this isn't going to work. Well, this would need to be that also. Yeah. That key codes, event key code, that's not going to work. That's going to throw some weird error because that's not. Yeah.
If you concatenated it,
Yeah, I was supposed to say this up here. This. So it's not working. It's not working because the context is off again. And the way we want to do this is geez. We want to use dot call. How do you mean? Plus like that? No, then I'm making it a string, right? Because this right here is a callback function. This is a function name. So if I console log this, or rather that, if I console log that, I'm getting the actual function. So I need to be able to execute that function. I'm getting the function declaration. So in order to execute that function, I've got to call it. And I was kind of hoping that would just work because that would be kind of cool, but it doesn't. I want to do actual, because what it's doing is this. It's doing a dot call, and this doesn't work. Because it's calling that in a different context entirely. It's calling it in a new context. But call takes a parameter of context, so you can send call that, and then when that gets called, it'll get called with that context, and that is this outside of the listeners. That's not confusing, right? And then that'll work. Did that make any sense at all? Yeah. So this didn't work because it was the same as doing that, as doing a dot call, which is just calling it. But when you're calling this, it's losing the context that it has in this function. It's going into a new context. So when it goes into this new context, it no longer has access to the thises here. These thises are referring to the new context that it's in. So you need to call it with a specified context of that. He did call at some point in the past, right? I don't think he did it in a lot of detail, but he had us do something in call. Do you remember that? No? Was he using call and apply? Does that ring any bells? How about map? Or this was weeks ago. Map and every. Pretty sure call was used in the map everyone. But so that's that. Yes. Do you have any other questions before? Alternatively, I could have used a switch statement. Do you know what a switch statement is?
Case statement.
Yeah, switch case. It would have been switch event key code case 37 that dot go left. That would have been another way to sort of make it a little bit simpler than a bunch of if statements. Case 38, blah, blah, blah. And then default, if you wanted to do a default. That's just another way to do it. Will that work? Left and up are the only ones I got. Yeah. I forgot to put breaks. Break. Without the break, it was actually executing both go left and go up for key code 37. So without this break, and I press left, it goes left and up. Because a switch statement doesn't actually stop until you hit until it's a break. All right, that's it. Hopefully the sound recorded the whole time. I'm not really sure how to check that while it's recording. Well, maybe it worked. I'll find out later.